Viva AP, viva! Viva! Viva AP, viva! Viva! Thank you very much for inviting me here. Some say you must observe protocol. I say you must always start on a note of piety and humility. Piety is a reverent acknowledgement of all the sources of good in your life and an appreciation of all those who have given so much of themselves to make you who and what you are. And so I acknowledge all of you in that spirit, on that note of piety, because you prayed, you spoke, you mobilized, you campaigned, you crafted a vision. You came together with others to create a formidable force of oneness out of 3 political formations: the Botswana National Front, Botswana People's Party, Alliance for Progressives. They came together because they appreciated that whatever forces may have conspired to divide us in the past, the charms and allurements of our togetherness transcend every force that may seek to divide us. And so we are here today as a manifestation of that coming together, that unity, representing that vision. We all know the vision. The fundamental tenets of the vision are clear, they are very simple and straightforward. We want decent jobs, decent houses, decent lives for our people. We want to build a resilient economy that works not just for the few but for all. We want to uphold and respect the fundamental human rights of all our people. We had made certain pointed commitments of which we must remind ourselves always. We promised our people that we would pay an old age pension of 1,800. We are as committed to that undertaking as we were before. We undertook to pay a student allowance of 2,500. We are as committed to that undertaking as we were when we first announced it. We have committed to a living wage, baseline 4,000 kula. We have committed to a robust and very aggressive institutional reform process to reform the judiciary, the legislature itself, and the executive. We remain committed to these because they are, as I said, the fundamental tenets of our vision. So the vision is clear, it is precise. But there's something you must understand about any vision. It has to have a spiritual grounding. It can't move if it is not spiritual. So our vision is informed and animated spiritually. But a vision alone is not very helpful. A vision requires agency, agents of the vision. Sociologists, the likes of Nikos Polantzas, the likes of Chantal Mouffe, call it social agency. Who are the agents of this vision? Who are the vectors? Yourselves, all of you, none more than the other, all of us. We are carriers of this vision. We are agents of this vision. We carry the responsibility of translating this vision into concrete deliverables for our people. We therefore must engage with two questions, two issues. The one is, where are we now? I call it the is proposition. What is? Not what we wish was. Not what we think and believe is. What in fact, evidenced by data, accurately mapped out, what is the reality with which we are faced now? Very important question. When we engage with that question, we must not deceive and flatter ourselves. Tell ourselves things are not what they really are. Things are bad out there. Our people are unemployed. Young people are catching hell at the margins of an economy that has failed to work for them. This is the reality. Schools are dilapidated. Schools that were built with no thought as to how they will be maintained. No investment, no plan for the maintenance of these schools and other infrastructure. This is the reality that we have inherited. There's no medicine in the clinics, hospitals, and other facilities like health posts. There is no equipment, a crumbling health system, a collapsing education system. In a society, although described as an upper middle income society, is marked by grotesque inequality, staggering levels of poverty and exclusion. This is the reality. And the second question we must deal with is what I call the ought proposition. Where ought we to be? That's where our vision is taking us. Our vision has painted in broad strokes where we ought to be. We are not there yet, but that's where we ought to be. And the question that faces all of us now is, how do we get ourselves from the is to the ought? Now it is a function of strategy. Strategy. The deployment of limited resources in uncertain and fluid times, dealing with unpredictable, sometimes very dangerous expectations to achieve the ought, where we ought to be. That is what we now must deal with. when we get into that space of crafting a strategy, we need to summon to the fore the best attributes, our foremost intellectual resources, we must bring to the fore. The skills, the deep domain expertise that exists in the country, the experience, the zeal and the passion of our people, the marauding energies of our young people. These must all be summoned to the surface so that they help us develop strategies to move from where we are to where we ought to be. This is what our task is. And for you as members of this party, first you must answer a simple question for yourself. What does it mean to be a progressive? Have you ever asked yourself, what does it mean? Does the label progressive set you apart from others? If so, how? You must resolve this question for yourself. What does it mean to be a progressive? So that you assert your own intellectual, political, social identity and determine what it is, what unique attributes you bring to the coalition. What is it that has set you apart, and you bring it to deploy it alongside what others bring in order to raise voices for transformative change. What is it that your voice brings so that we transcend what would otherwise be a cacophony of voices to a higher level, higher than a cacophony, to a level that I call a polyphony? These voices and viewpoints coming together to create harmony, a symphony, melody. That's what it is. And you know, when you are involved in melody, in song, sometimes you are quiet. Between the notes, there's silence. It is the silence between the notes that makes the music. Otherwise, it may turn out to be mere howling, not singing. If you're singing, you pause at certain points. There's an inflection. There are moments of quietude. Even when you construct a cage, there are spaces between the bars of the cage. Those spaces also help to confine the tiger in the cage. So sometimes we need to be still and be quiet and meditate, reflect, the better to position our voices and in the process overcome our vices. We carry scars, bruises. There's a tendency to want to project these scars onto others, especially those we believe have hurt us. It's a very dangerous idea. And I was telling those I spoke to earlier, reminding them what Mahatma Gandhi said. Forgiveness is not for the weak. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. It's an attribute of strength. And so there's a clamor out there that we must cause injury to those who injured us. Let us pause and reflect. Let's be still and ask ourselves what that would achieve for our country. We are here to develop strategies, to hone and refine our thoughts, our ideas, so that these ideas guide action, meaningful, impactful, constructive, transformative action. This is what we are all called upon to do. I said it's a polyphony. The BNF will bring its own voice and perspective. The progressives will bring their own voices and perspectives. The Botswana People's Party will bring its own voice and perspective. All these voices will blend together into this polyphony, this synthesis that captures not just views and viewpoints from the three formations, but from the rest of society. We are not superior to the ordinary citizens for having come together. We are their servants. We are servant leaders. And at all times, we must stay humble. Humble. Very important, often elusive attribute, trait, humility. It's about appreciating that even when you are fully convinced that you are correct, you may actually be 100% wrong. That must cause you to pause always. When you think, I've got it, I'm correct, you must step back before you step up. Check your own predilections, your own biases embedded in the position that you hold, and reflect soberly, carefully, humbly, because there's always that residual possibility, however small, that you may be wrong. That impels you to listen to other voices, even when they challenge what you hold to be sacrosanct. Our society and our democracy will not be built from conformity. It will be developed even more sharply in those interstices, in those spaces, the no man's land, those wide lands of intellectual rebellion. That's where our society will be fueled. So even those that we don't like, those that we despise, when they speak, let's pause and listen. We may have a substantial chunk of the truth, but they may hold some fragment of it. And the fragment they hold may actually be the dispositive fragment when put together with what we already have. That's humility. That is what it is. And so I'm here today to say to you, your voices are important. All the voices in this coalition are important. But I must also caution. I know very well the frustration that people experience when they think change is too slow. I know very well. Those who've been at the margins, in the underbelly of a failing economy, when things are not improving quickly enough for them, they get frustrated. And there's a tendency for self-combustion. You set yourself on fire. We must avoid that weakness, that trap. We must always remain calm, chill in hellfire. That's what we must do. We've been down. Some of us have been down there. And I've said to you, I say to you again, I've been down so many times, down, what that means over there. And I mean it. Because I understand what down means. Your president understands what down means. When his property was seized, attached, that's down. He knows. So when he speaks about economic deprivation, marginalization, he's not theorizing. He speaks from praxis, from experience. He knows. And so when he wrestles with the challenges that we face, please understand, he wrestles with them from a position of intimate knowledge. He's been on intimate terms with poverty. He's been on intimate terms with marginalization. He's been on intimate terms with exclusion. He knows. He doesn't theorize. And so I see those on the other side call themselves the red machine, who don't know what it means to be poor. To live a life of exilic marginality in your country, they don't know what it means. And so when they come and say they have been reborn, I cringe and look at them, and I recoil in pity. What do you know? If you knew, why did you allow it to happen? In fact, why did you do it? And you come today and claim to be able to get out of a problem you created and allow to fester. Hysterical hypocrisy. That's what it is. We are here to build a different country. A new country. We are in the process. We have begun. The nation gave us 5 years. We've cut it down to 3 to try and make some impact. So that we put ourselves under pressure, all of us. You've got your vice president here. You've got your president. You've got others. You've got yourself. How can we fail? This government will not fail. And so you will engage over the next few days, reflect carefully, reflect honestly on the challenges that we face. And appreciate, at the end of it all, this country is rich with yourselves. The real diamond, the real wealth of this country is its people, especially its young people. This country is endowed with mineral wealth, diamonds. And you tell me, and you want me to buy that diamonds are not selling. Diamonds are not selling. And somebody must believe this. Somebody must hold on to it. No. Of course, we will not construct our economy around diamonds alone, will diversify. But diamonds will sell. Diamonds have to sell. Why are they not selling? Why are we not selling the diamonds? We must sell the diamonds. Because now we are faced with calamity. Diamonds must sell and cushion our people. So you must come up with ideas on how this will be achieved. There are many things we are going to do. There are many things we've started doing. But I want to close on a reflection on something that has caused some consternation and controversy across society, the tender process. I've said openly, I've said forcefully, I'm against the tender process, fully. I've seen how this thing works. Some time back, during the days of the PPADB, second week of December, towards the end of the second week, a tender is floated in relation to ceremonial police uniform. The specifications are clear on the color, on the yarn composition, on the color fastness of the fabric that is required. The duration of the tender is a few days. It's almost closing time. The type of fabric is not fabric you get on any shelf. You have to go to a manufacturer and have them specifically manufacture that fabric for you. But that is the fabric that is required at that time. All the factories, by the time the tender was floated, were closed. But there was one company that had the exact fabric, one briefcase company for that matter. It had the exact fabric. It in fact had before then, just before the tender was floated, taken samples to Bob's for certification. And you could see this was in preparation for this tender, before it was even floated. So when the tender was floated, there was only one compliant bidder, this one. And you tell me, now this process is fair. They advertised. People were given an opportunity to respond. Another company which employed 1,200 people had a factory at Gaborone West, submits a bid and says, we have used fabric that is as close to the one we want as possible. We cannot get this fabric at this point because the manufacturers are closed. We want you to see our workmanship, the quality. And you can then evaluate, and if you award the tender to us, it would only be on condition that we then satisfy you as to the right fabric. The evaluation process says these ones are joking. This is the only compliant. And it's a briefcase company. It takes the bid, goes to India to have these garments manufactured there. There was PPH, an oversight. But the people who play in this space understand it so well. Tender rigging occurs at the time of the determination of the specifications. So by the time it gets to PPADB or whatever stage of evaluation, it's now sealed. And we say we can fight corruption. And the construction industry, they decide, this one is yours, this one is yours, that one, and they position themselves. What they even do, they will remove certain pages from some of the documents. You know this. And they tell you, you didn't submit this. Say, but we did. No, it's not there. And you are out. This is what we see. I've worked very closely in that space because I've represented people who were disadvantaged. I know. I understand it very well. Now, we must find an alternative method. Alternative to this entrenched, normalized, routinized corruption. Let's find something else. That's what we are called upon to do. And so, all the institutions that we have are crying out for reform. We must change pretty much everything. And it's not going to happen in one fell swoop in one day. We are all going to have to think carefully around what it means. And that also includes the constitutional review. We are going to start with the establishment of a constitutional court. Before the review, there will be a court. Because in South Africa, after they crafted their new constitution, they took it to the Constitutional Court for certification. We craft it together, we examine it thoroughly, we pass it, but we take it before a tribunal of legal experts to certify for us and give it the force of legal authority and moral force. And we say this is the Constitution. We are going to debate the fundamentals. We are going to engage on what that Constitution must present, and we will have it. There is absolutely no doubt about that. These are the assurances I want to make to you today. But really, my coming here was to greet you, to see your happy faces, to ask you whether you actually even celebrated the success, because I never did. I never celebrated. I couldn't. The only thing I did was before the elections, after I'd done my campaigning, on the voting day I left my house and went and stayed elsewhere. And I told those that I was with that from here, sirens will be wailing when I move out of this place. I will leave this place under escort, even of the same people that persecuted me and others. They will be escorting, and well will do. And so we are here, together. We fought. We suffered. We cried. We took abuse. We faced the arrogance of power. The tendency might be to retaliate and be vengeful. Let us not do that. Let us not exact revenge. Let's embrace others even as they abused us. Let's build a country that carries all our citizens along. I think it's part of what it means to be progressive. It remains for me then, at this point, to thank you very much for the privilege of your company here today and the pleasure of your kind attention. Viva AP, viva! Viva! Viva AP, viva! Viva!
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Your Excellency. And thank you for having listened tentatively. In this country, we have a constellation of leaders, and therefore, we won't fail. Government won't fail. And ekitoka cacophony, the polyphony, we had a speech from the Vice President, and then followed by speech of the President himself. And they were very polyphonic. The speeches were very polyphonic. Le poemo a rona Aaron Mokgethi le nkgonne o re etetseng Ramodisa Maphanyane and Mama Phanyane. Thank you very much.